Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Jerry from TraderThings.com, and right now you are tuning in to the Wolf of Forex. Hey, what's up, guys? So today we're going to be talking about pips, and pips. They are a fundamental concept in the foreign exchange market, and pips actually stand for percentage, and point. Now, what is percentage and point? A percentage and point is basically 1/100th of 1%. All right. Now, this is actually basically saying take 1, divide that by 100, and times that by 0.1%. 0.01%. And that is equal to 0.0001. That's what that equates to. So 1 pip is formatted like this. Now this is only, I should note that this is only in USD quoted or base currencies. Other currencies that differ from this format is the yen currency. Now the yen is actually 1/10 of 10%, and if you do the math, you get 0.01, and that is equal to 1 pip in yen. Cool. So we know what a pip is in USD, and we also know what a pip is in yen. How do we format this in an actual exchange rate? Well, for example, if we're looking at an exchange rate, let's say that we're looking at the Australian dollars exchange rate, right? And it is written like this. All right. Now, also, I would like to clarify that the structure of an exchange rate is written as such, where you have the first currency is called the base currency, and the second currency after the backslash is called the quote currency. Now, the base currency is what lots are traded in, and the quote currency is basically how much of the quote currency do I need to buy 1 unit of this base currency, which is basically the exchange rate that's shown as the ticker. So I just like to come back here and iterate that this USD could be any other currency. That isn't the yen. And this is the yen. So what is a pip really, right? What is a pip? So we know how a pip is structured, but what is a pip? Like, we know the formatting now. So we know the formatting for the yen, and we know the formatting for any other currency that isn't the yen. The previous example, I talked about the formatting for yen, and say USD. Talked about the USD format, or any other currency that isn't the yen. So matter of fact, I'll just put non-yen. Bam. So we got the yen format and any other currency that isn't the format of the yen. So this is the way it's written, to the 4th decimal place. This is to the 2nd. And this is to the 4th. So what is a pip really, right? What is a pip? Is a simple concept used in the foreign exchange market, and it's used as a unit of measure to express the change within an exchange rate. So when I say change, I mean like one day, let's say for the Australian dollar, September 28th, 2021, the exchange rate was 0.71771, and then the exchange rate on October 20th, 2021 was 0.75169. When I say change, I mean the change between these two exchange rates. So a pip is basically used as a unit of measure to express the change within an exchange rate, and the change within the exchange rate is actually an equation, which is ER final minus ER initial. So the final means the end date, which is the most recent date, or the current date, and then the initial date is just the past date, or the initial date, the past date. So this would be the past, and this would be the current. The delta ER, which is the change an exchange rate, basically between these two exchange rates, you get and that just equates to $339.8 pips. Right, so this is delta ER, which is the change within the exchange rate, and that is how we use pips. That's pips right there. This is how we use pips, and it's used to express the change within exchange rates. So that's basically the theory behind pips, and you got to know how to this is the fundamental concept you got to know, because this is how you calculate your profits and losses. This is how you go on about planning your trading day, and finding your suitable setups for risk. So it's a real fundamental concept that you got to know, and it's a real simple concept too. It's real simple, it's adding and subtracting, and I like to also add that the sign of the difference is going to give you an indication of the direction. Since this is positive, I know that price was trending upwards, and if, let's say, the shoes were to switch, and this was to be a negative integer, then I would know that negative means downward. Price was trending downward. Simple. Now these are just things that you should know. Just doing quick maths. You don't use this. Well, you don't do the change within the exchange rate like while you're trading. That's like done before during your planning. So, but you got to know this. This is like real fundamental stuff that you got to know. So yeah. So what is a pip? We basically just answer that it's a unit of measure used to express the change within an exchange rate. And we just went through an example showing you that the change between exchange rates actually give you the total amount of pips that the currency moved within a certain period. The sign also determines the direction. So these are just fundamental things that you need to know to get you started trading. We're gonna go a little bit more in depth on lots later on, and this will make sense. So we also learned that the base currency is traded. This is the currency that we trade our lots in, that we leverage our lots in. The quote currency basically shows how much of currency you need to make 1 unit of this base currency. Yeah. All right, so let's talk a little bit more about the formatting for pips. So this is going to be called pip formatting. And looking at an example, quick example here, we're going to look at the pound and US dollar. And let's say the exchange rate for this is 1.34256. So the way this exchange rate is formatted, this 5th decimal place right here, this is called a pipette. Actually, I think I spelled that wrong. It's called a pipette, and it's a fractional pip, right? It's it's formatted like 0.6 pips. That's how you would read this currency alone. All this says 0, then this is 0.6 pips right here, right? So moving forward, this is considered the ones. This is considered the tens. This decimal place is considered the hundreds. Real simple stuff. Thousands. And then we have 10,000s. Right? So if we were to look at a change within this pip, let's say this exchange rate moved 62 pips, right? Within the week. 62 pips. How would this translate to 62 pips? So basically, pause this video, try if you want, and then we're gonna go ahead and go through it. All right, so now that you paused and we're back. All right, so basically 62 pip will be translated to just adding it straight up, just 62 62 pips. So this would be 1.34876. So you could actually, some people actually drop this off, and just read 0.3487, but I like to be precise to the fractional pips, so I write it like that. But so this is just like, the formatting of pips, just kind of like letting you know this is how you read an exchange rate when you're doing your setups, when you're doing your trading plans. You really gotta just kind of plan ahead and back test. And while you're back testing, you kind of like gauge how much you're willing to risk. What type of setups, if things kind of line up and are confluent, then this is just like kind of like second nature stuff. So once you understand this to like the T, you won't have any problems really just making those adjustments on the fly. But it's always good to plan ahead and have certain kind of degrees or packages of risk, where if things look really good in the market, things are real confluent, then you kind of want to like add a little bit more to your position than you normally do, but you've set aside how many of these moves, or I guess orders, that you can take, as far as like planning out how many marbles you really have in the bag for the year or for the month, or depending on how long you plan on trading. So this is the second nature stuff that you should know. Basically, just to summarize, we're looking at an exchange rate here for the pound dollar, and basically just kind of knowing the placement of these integers, and the values for non-yen pairs. So looking at another example, right, for this example, this time is going to be a yen. So we're going to look at, if you can guess, the pound yen. Yeah, the pound yen is a real volatile pair. The moves are real wide. All right, so looking at this exchange rate for a yen, make that better. Yen. All right, so looking at this yen, we know that the yen, the one pip place starts at this second decimal place. So obviously, now as you can tell, this pip is actually a fractional pip, and a fractional pip is called a pipette. So we can say this is definitely the ones, this is the tens, and yes, the hundreds. And then you have here the thousands, and then 10,000. Okay, in this next video, we're going to learn how to find the value of a pip within and the notion of the base currency. So, for example, let's do USD and Swiss franc. So for this example, it basically goes like this, right? The formatting is the exchange rate for the Swiss franc is going to be 0.92570, right? So we want to find the value of a pip within the base currency, which is this currency. This is called the base currency. Talked about this before in the previous lessons. And then this, of course, is the quote currency. So to find the value of a pip, as a pip, appreciates or depreciates. So basically what you want to do is you want to take the format of a pip and then divide that by the exchange rate. Now, if this was a yen, yen paired exchange rate, then it would obviously be instead of 0.001, it will be 0.01 because that's the format of a pip. All right, cool. So you'll just take that, divide that by each other, and then you want to multiply this by 10,000 because this is the number of base units, and 10,000 base units is basically $1 per pip, or yeah, in USD quoted currencies. So that's why we're using the 10,000 units, because we want to know the dollar value, or the dollar lot size for it. If it was 100,000, then we'll be looking at the tens instead of the ones place for this. So you'll just divide that and you will get 1.08029 dollars per pip. So that's the value that you would get every time the exchange rate moves up or down. That's the value per pip, the dollar value per pip. All right, so let's look at another example. We're gonna use the Australian dollar and the US dollar, and the exchange rate for this one is going to be 0.71432. So same thing, just divide that and times that by 10,000, which is $10,000 units of base currency. That's where that 10,000 is coming from. And now this equals to 1.399 per pip. And this is obviously in Aussie dollar, because this is the base currency. So this would be for the actual US dollar, but for this example, we're finding the dollar per pip value for the Australian dollar. So it's $1.39, basically $1.40 per pip move. Alright, so we're gonna look at one more example. This is going to be with the pound dollar, and the exchange rate for this is going to be 1.33348. Now go ahead and pause the video real quick and try this one for yourself, and then we're gonna go ahead and go through it and see if we got the same thing. So pause the video now. Alright, cool. Now that we're back, so basically it's the same setup. Multiply this by 10,000 base units, and then we get and that's just basically this. If you got to about like 75 pound, 0.75 pound per pip move, then you're right. That is the final answer. Cool.